Applovin stock is down 50% year to date, and I've decided to buy into Applovin stock. So with that being said, in this video, I want to go over the business as a whole, talk about it in full detail. Then I'm going to be going over my position. Then I want to talk about the fundamentals of the business and why I'm actually investing in this company and the future outlook I can see for Applovin going forward. So we quickly take a look at my portfolio, guys. We're at $36,332. If we scroll down to my position here in Applovin, I have 2.65 shares. So before you click off of this video, guys, and say you don't have a big position at all, you only have 2.65 shares, what's the point of even watching? Well, number one, this is more of a watcher position. Number two, I don't have that much cash right now to load up on this company, even though it looks very solid. Number three, the worry about this company not being too diversified in my portfolio. The reason I'm saying this, guys, if we take a look at the overview, we have Meta and Google in the top two. And when these companies are in the top two, where do they get most of their revenue? From advertising. And then we have Applovin here. They also get their revenue from advertising. So I want Applovin to be a lower position in my portfolio. In the mid single digits is where I'd be happy to have this company, mainly because of the diversification risk in this portfolio. I do not want to have most of my portfolio in advertising, especially when Meta and Google are my two largest positions. And if you do watch the channel, guys, you'll notice something. With Celsius, I've been a very big proponent on this company, but as we can see, my position has actually started to decrease a little. And what essentially happened is I sold some shares of Celsius to fund this purchase. And I know people are probably going to complain, but I was up 27+% on Celsius. Then I decided to sell some because if you've watched my videos, you've known that I continue to say about Celsius, I do not want this to be more than 10% of my portfolio because number one, it does not fully fit my investment thesis where it has a good competitive advantage. I do not want to make a company that, even though it looks undervalued, even though it's growing pretty decently, I don't want it to have a big position in my portfolio because it does not have a good competitive advantage. And that's exactly what I've done here. Taking a look at my portfolio today, the stock was at nearly $36 Celsius. It was actually my second largest position in my portfolio. So third largest position, I'm sorry about that. Third largest position between Microsoft and Google. I wanted to reduce that back down to a smaller position because as these gains continue to come in with Celsius, I wanted to reduce it. But I definitely don't plan on selling any more of Celsius. I basically just sold the higher share, basically prices that I bought at. So I also lowered my average price under $28, as we can see here with Celsius. I have 90 shares at $27.75. But let's stop talking about Celsius. Let's get into what this video is actually about, Applovin. So with Applovin, like I said, a very small position. This is more of a watcher position in my portfolio because I'm not fully committed into this company, mainly for diversification reasons and cash reasons. I don't have a whole lot of cash right now, so I'm not putting a lot of money into this company. I think this is a great time to buy this business, but let's talk about Applovin. So what is Applovin? The core business of Applovin is essentially the middleman between the advertiser and the advertisee. So what does this really mean? And what this means is they have their own platform, their software. So I think that's another reason the stock's down a decent amount. Software business, software sector has been pretty poor lately. And also the trade desk is a kind of similar business. That company's decelerating their growth rates at insanely fast rates. So I think there's just a lot of negative sentiment in this similar industry of Applovin. But nonetheless, Applovin, what the company is like I said, the middleman between those advertising. So on their platform, essentially, say you are a mobile game. What they mainly deal with is mobile games, guys. So their main thing, say you're on your phone playing Candy Crush, or another big customer they have is EA. So say you're playing FC or whatever it's called, soccer mobile game, and an ad pops up. They are utilizing Applovin to put ads on their games. So how this works is essentially the platform is for the advertiser, and then the advertisee is able to bid on that placement on that app. So say there's just an Amazon ad on, say, EA FC Mobile. How that works is essentially the advertisers go on this platform and trying to bid for that spot. So whoever the highest bidder is essentially what's going to be shown there. So if Amazon was the highest bidder, like I said, they're going to be shown on that ad placement. That is the core business of this company, mainly with mobile games as well and mobile apps. But they're starting to transition to more e-commerce platforms. So that could be another potentially good area for a good growth segment going forward with Applovin. This could become potentially a bigger conglomerate for the advertising industry. So some e-commerce and consumer brands that is actually utilizing Applovin right now is Etsy and Kalshi. So Etsy is that e-commerce website. So if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an eBay, something like that, a little bit similar. You have Kalshi, which is more a prediction type of website. So if you see ads on there, they're using Applovin to get the highest bidder to place those ads. There's also Wayfair, Crocs, Yeti, and Elf Beauty also utilize Applovin, and those are big retail consumer brands that run their campaigns through Applovin. Also, you have Flip, Roback, and some other e-commerce platforms. But like I said, the main niche this company is fit into is the mobile games with EA. You have Voodoo and Triple Dot Studios. Those are the main ones that are utilizing this company. But like I said, they're expanding outwards away from just apps, which could be pretty big. So with that being said, let's talk about some potential competitors to this company. So we have Unity Ads, and we also have Google Ad Mob, and maybe Meta Audience Network. So those are the three main, say, competitors to this company. But Applovin is the biggest industry leader in the app advertising. And I think it's going to stay that way, even though there's definitely concerns over Google and Meta taking over, because these companies obviously have a lot more money they can spend. And as we can see with Applovin, their growth rates are insanely high, and it shows that this app industry for advertising is very big. And since Google and Meta are already in that industry, they could potentially try and really push for that. That's definitely a key risk for this company. But I think Applovin has a pretty strong foothold in this area and a pretty strong niche for that sake of the business, that once they start to build a name for themselves and really have a strong foothold in this industry, I think people are going to just gravitate towards that, as they are the market leader right now. So that's my personal opinion with Applovin. With competitors, there is definitely a slight risk. I'm not saying that this company has a wide moat or anything. That's another reason I don't want it to be a huge position, but nonetheless, that is something to keep in mind. Now, I want to go over the 10Q really quickly for Applovin. I want to kind of show you guys how the financial statements are broken down for this company, where they make their money and stuff like that. So for the revenue here, basically their revenue comes from fees collected from advertisers spending on Applovin ads. Like I said, that's how they make most of their money, which are determined dynamically based on advertisers' campaign goals. So what does that really mean? Essentially, they make their money from when these advertisers spend on Applovin, and when it means dynamically, these fees, essentially the key way that they make their money is kind of say, if they do successful, then Applovin does successful too. That's a simple way to put it. So if this, say, campaign ad, like I said earlier, for Amazon does very good on FC Mobile, then Applovin will generate a lot more money as it goes and get a lot more fees. So that's how the revenues work. The cost of revenue and operating expenses, this is where I really like this business, and we'll be talking about that a little later. in terms of the fundamentals, but what is the cost of revenue? They don't have a lot, guys. But the main thing here is the data center costs related mainly to third-party cloud computing services, amortization of acquired technology related to intangible assets, and finance lease right of use assets. So the main way their expenses, the main expenses they have here is number one, the data center costs. So what does that really mean, and who are they paying? So if I done some research on this, Applovin, for their cloud computing, they actually use Google Cloud. So Google Cloud, they have to spend to get that storage in cloud to able to have this basically platform. The other way is for the other expenses are the technologies they use, say the AI that they have to help the basically efficiency of their platforms and to help the conversion rates and stuff like that to help improve advertisers and the click-through rates. The other way is through the payment processing. So say the company like Amazon goes on there and utilizes, say, who knows, just say a credit card or Visa, something like that. That's another expense they have. But that is basically all the expenses they have, besides obviously the other income and expenses, which is interest and then income taxes. But guys, that is the main expenses. So that's what I really like about this business. Because if we take a look at the revenue of this company, look at this revenue growth here, guys. This revenue growth is growing very strongly, growing 50+% over the past year-over-year quarter. If we take a look at the annual numbers, once again, great growth from this company. So that's very solid for this business. I want to show you the margins. This is the main, I guess, key takeaway from this company. Look at these margins, guys. Right now, the profit margin is 62%. Look at the quarterly numbers, though. The profit margin is hovering over 65%. Their gross margins are 88%. So that's what I'm saying with this. This company has basically no expenses. The only expenses they have is, like I said, the cloud computing for Google Cloud. Then the other expenses is for payments, which is barely anything. And then the other expenses for some of the technology that they need. And then they have very little employees. And guys, this is actually one of the lowest employed businesses out there with the comparative market cap and how much they make. Less than 1,000 employees. They actually have just around 880 to 890 employees right now. So very small amounts of expenses that this company goes through. And that is exactly why these margins, as we can see here, are very strong. Now, let me just show you the PE ratio of this company. The PE ratio is a great tool I like to look at just for the valuation metrics. And this is basically how much you're paying for $1 of earnings. The blue is the trailing 12 months PE ratio. So essentially with this 24 or so PE ratio, you're paying 24 times the past 12 months of earnings. So on the market average, it's right now near 30. So this is already under the market average. The forward PE ratio is 17. That's even lower and very solid, especially for how fast this company is expected to grow. Look at how fast Applovin's expected to grow, guys. 20+% for the upcoming 3 years. Very solid growth coming from this business. The only real risk I see with this company is, I guess you could say, AI. I personally don't think that's going to be any risks. I think the main risk that people are worried about is competition, like the trade desk, which has been doing very poorly lately, even though I think management is a lot worse with the trade desk. And I think the good thing about Applovin, there's at least we're in a good niche where maybe these big tech companies aren't going to really focus on that much as compared to the trade desk. They're on, say, Netflix and those types of networks where Amazon, Google, all those companies are focusing on that because that's a great way to make a lot of money. But for the mobile games, the Applovin is really taking over, and it appears as if the company is the biggest one in that market. And I think it's going to stay like that, at least for the future to come. Next thing I want to show you guys is the shares outstanding. I really like when a company is buying back shares because that means we actually have a greater ownership in the business. Here we can see they're buying back at about 1% each year. They're not buying back a whole ton, but I do think that this company is at least buying back a good amount for how fast they're growing. Normally, fast growth companies are going to buy back a lot less. That's just kind of the nature of it, because if you're a management team, and at least if you're smart and a good management team, you're going to take a look at this and say, if I'm going to grow at, say, 50% like they have, they're more likely to actually dilute their shares, which what I mean by dilute is actually sell shares to then reinvest back into the business itself instead of reinvesting in buybacks. So like a mature company like Johnson & Johnson, stuff like that, that are growing maybe single digits, those companies are more likely to buy back a lot of shares, because it wouldn't really make sense for them to reinvest back into the business when you're kind of towards the peak of that business where you're not going to be able to grow much. Even if you invest a lot into the company, it would be better just to buy back shares and help shareholders out. But with this company, they're actually buying back a decent amount, which I don't mind at all. But it's up to you if you care, because of, like I said, they are growing pretty fast. It could be decent if they were actually diluting shares, but overall, I normally like when they buy back. Now, with that being said, guys, taking a look at my expectations for the future for Applovin here, I'm being pretty conservative. 30, 25, 20, 16, 13, expecting pretty fast deceleration, especially if there's some competition issues and where the market share of this company goes down, and just overall the business can't continue to grow this fast forever. But analysts do expect a lot faster growth. They expect high 20% for the upcoming few years. And with this, I'm expecting it to already decrease to 20% in 2028. For the future profit margin, 55. Right now, it's 65. And the main reason for this, even though management has said their profit margins are expected to still stay pretty high in the 65%, there's no real reason why their profit margins would decrease so fast unless there's competition. So I am taking into account potentially competition going forward for this company. If that is the case, 55%. But I want to show you how good these numbers look, even on a pretty conservative basis. For the future PE ratio 28, I think that's pretty fair, especially for a company growing 13%. I think today at a 23 PE ratio, it's pretty ridiculous. Honestly, that's my personal opinion, just because I think the sentiment around this company is so darn low that I'm willing to buy into this company at such a cheap valuation that I do expect in the future it should get better. And then I expect them to buy back at about 1% each year. That's exactly what they've been doing. Basically, scroll down, 22 almost percent return. And I think these, once again, are pretty conservative numbers. Say they do what around analysts expect for this company, I could see them growing like this pace for the future, and say the profit margin continues to stay at 65, and then we just up the P ratio just a little bit, guys. Look at the returns we get for this company, near 30%. So I definitely want to look to add more to this company, and let me know down below, guys, if you agree on this recent buy. Do you agree? Do you own this company? Have you bought any recently? Thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe, hit the like button, comment down below to support the channel out and help the algorithm, and see you.